Hey, so today I'm at the waterside at Windsor Racecourse with somebody that won't need a lot of introduction, Matt Chapman. Matt, thanks very much for agreeing to talk to us today. So I think it's safe to say that you're the people's presenter, but probably 50% of them, because you split opinions quite a lot. Is that a conscious decision professionally, or you just being you?
Simon, first of all, thanks for having me on. You've had some great guests so far, and I hope this isn't the end for you. It's just nonsense, isn't it? The people's presenter, it's not anything I've ever aspired to. I don't really know anyone who's called me that stuff. If you're, in this case, a man of the people or the people's presenter because you go on TV and you just try and say what you see and what you believe, then yes, you could chuck that title at me, but it's not in any way ever been in the back of my mind to try and be the people's presenter. I wouldn't know how to do it. I would think I would be a very bad candidate to try and do it. And I don't think there's ever been a people's presenter in horse racing. I don't think there ever will be. I think there are some presenters people like, some people don't like. And I would be very happy to be in the middle of that mix, because for me, as a TV presenter, if you're doing your job correctly, some people will like what you say and some people will hate what you say. Just like in life, some people will like you and some people will hate you. I mean, at the end of the day, people will think you're a hero if they agree with what you're saying, and they'll think you're an absolute numpty if they disagree with what you're saying. And that's just life. Whether you're a TV presenter, whether you're writing on social media, if you don't say what a small group of people want you to say, then you're the devil incarnate, aren't you? And that's just the way it is.
Okay, so but maybe it's more.
That was a long answer, Simon, wasn't it? If it goes on like this, it'll be a one-question interview.
Everybody gets some money's worth. It's maybe more a case of how you say it. Is the MC Yeehaa persona, is that your TV persona? I mean, are you recognisable as that guy on TV when you're not on TV?
I wouldn't think I'm any different. I'm just as annoying. The Yeehaa came about because I started my TV career, or tried to start it, basically via Stateside, when the old days of Stateside, when it was relatively, I would call, maybe I'm wrong, but I would describe it as cult, and I use that word carefully, cult viewing, in that it was in the days when there was no floodlit racing, there was no greyhound racing that you could watch, there were no races on your telephone that you could watch. So come 5, 6 in the evening, there wasn't even much evening racing as far as I can remember. Come 5, 6 in the evening, particularly in the winter, gambling just stopped effectively. But not when Stateside came along, and we would start, myself and Dave Compton were probably the two people most people will remember. Poor old Dave, who disappeared to America, and despite numerous attempts, no one's ever heard of ever since. We don't even know if Compo is still alive, to be quite frank. No one has heard a sausage from him. But we would get in there at 6, and I mean, times have just completely changed, Simon, but we go in under the deal that we worked under. We were allowed to order some takeaway food, so me and Compo would sit there at like 8. We'd have our, crispy aromatic duck on the table, and you'd order your pizza one night, your curry the next night, and you would have a real hardcore group of people who'd watch that show. And you're not just talking a few people here. I know that we ended that show at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on occasions with 300 emails that we hadn't had time to read out. And we deliberately interspersed the American racing with talking about basically what you could describe as nonsense. But, it would be, your favourite childhood sweet, whether you like shrimps or bananas and things like that. And that community of watchers loved it. And I loved it, and Compo loved it. And it was a great, great feeling. Now, if you did Stateside, you'd be lucky if you got one email during the whole show, like one, from no one. And virtual zero connectivity on social media as well. But that's for a reason, because there's a load of racing here now, and obviously as a group of punters, there's a much smaller group of punters who will be hardcore Stateside punters these days. But they were great days. Anyway, the Yeehaa came about because when we had a winner, I go, Yeehaa, because it was stateside, it was American. And the MC Yeehaa, well, my initials are Matt Chapman, MC, Master of Ceremonies. My feeling was, well, that all fits together, MC Yeehaa, and that's how it happened.
Okay, been a bit unorthodox to go from the very beginning, well, the very beginning professionally to now, Yeehaa Bet. So where's that come from?
So Yeehaa Bet is a new initiative which I started up in August of last year. It's a massively long-term project, and obviously it's starting at well, almost an impossible time to start as a bookmaker, effectively. It was done with an understanding that I didn't want anyone to face restrictions of 20p each way. I still want to get to the point where anyone is allowed a minimum bet, even if they're a winning punter. I would say a fiver. I believe all bookmakers should honour that, even to winning punters. The people who are interested in winning tens of thousands aren't going to bother with the fivers. So I don't really see what the problem is for any bookmaker. And that was what it was built around. It's a project. It's a project of trying to create a cool app, a cool website, somewhere that people can go and trust. And at the end of the day, and they have done it already, you know, you also have a point of contact, which is me. And if people write, you know, oh, this was crap on Yeehaa Bet today, why won't you sort this out? Or I've won a competition and no one's got hold of me. Well, I get that sorted as quick as I can. Because in any company, there will be glitches, there will be things that go wrong, things that are usually beyond people's control. But at least with this, because it's not, you know, a conglomerate of a million punters or whatever, there's an element of, there's someone people know who will know that they will sort things out for them if it's desperate. Now, don't get me wrong here, Simon. If the people who, as punters, take the mickey, and there is, despite what some might believe on social media, a certain group of punters who do just mug bookmakers off, you know, they're not loyal, they're not interested in being part of an organisation or part of a company or part of a community. They just want to rip off anyone who's one fraction over the odds. They'll just only ever come to you. Those people probably will disappear from Yeehaa Bet just like they will from other people. And also, of course, on social media, they will be the most vocal people.
No, they're not. Also, the correspondence we've had before we did this interview, I get the impression that they're not going to get many sort of consolation bets if there's a bit of bad luck in the race. Do you think the punters have got a bit pathetic these days, taking the risk out of all gambling?
So this is something that immediately you're going to get a negative reaction to, but one, for me at least, and this is nothing to do with Yeehaa Bet. Yeehaa Bet has many offers. For me, one of the problems punters have and their frustrations is self-inflicted pain. If you want a world of betting where betting is not a risk, in other words, you back a horse anti-post for Cheltenham, it gets a leg, and then you expect to get your money back. If you want to live in that world of punting, then when it doesn't happen, you're miserable and you're screaming on, oh, isn't this bookmaker, every other bookmaker's given their money back, why has not this bookmaker done it? It's like, why are you expecting that? Like, this is a growing up game, yeah? If you go into a casino and put your chip on black and it comes up red, you don't say, oh, I meant red, and get your money back, do you? But for some reason, punters in the modern era think that they, and I'm including myself in this, they think they should just get their money back, Simon. Like, hold on, this is gambling, yeah? You pay your money, you take your chance. Coming out of the stalls is part of a horse race. We're into the era now that punters don't think that. Oh, my horse didn't come out the stall, it wasn't a runner. Yes, it was. It didn't come out the stalls. And coming out the stalls is part of the race. You know, if Usain Bolt falls over at the start of the 100-metre Olympics final, they don't call the other runners up and say, oh, Usain fell over, let's start again. He's out. It's just, if you live in that world that you just think that it's not gambling and it should just be, this is just some sort of fun that you just get recouped your cash every time you cock it up. It's your cuppa. If your horse doesn't come up, that's your fault. You have picked the wrong horse. And, you know, the odds would be better without all the offers. Punters would get better percentages. So many things would be better. But gradually, the big bookmakers have become so desperate for every single penny from every single punter that we've gone down this route that you have to give them all their money back, don't you? This is like where even affordability comes into this. Like, we're not treating it like a grown-up game anymore. And for all I know, affordability gets linked to that. Maybe we're all being cursed because we don't think of it as a grown-up pursuit. And people just want it to be something that they do. And when they get it wrong, they get recoup their money. No, 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 no. You punt, it's a transaction. And after that, I'm afraid if it goes wrong, that's the game. And if you can't accept that as a very basic of gambling for me, you're mad. And I appreciate there'll be, well, let's hope that there are hundreds. I don't want to exaggerate the popularity of what I'm of what this whole feature's about, but there'll be people saying, so wrong. He's not the people's. I've never said I'm the people's punter or whatever you want me to be. I am just saying what I believe, and if you don't like it, then I'm not your people's person.
Right, now I'm struggling to find out, to understand where you get the time, because I talked to you about this before we did the interview. You appear to be on the telly every day. You do column for the Sun, you do your advert stuff, you become a bookmaker. I mean, where do you find the time to fit it all in?
I work 24/7, you know, and in between that, I find as much time for my missus, Jay, and my kid, Coco. I find as much time as I can. But the thing is, I work 24/7, but none of it is work. That's how I see it. I absolutely love horse racing. I love it. I love the sport. I love the challenge. I love the horses. When I say I love the people, I'm not saying I love all of them or they all love me, but even the ones who hate me, I like the reasons that they hate me. Or even if I don't know the reason, I accept that. So, you know, I'm lucky to be where I am, from coming from no background in the sport at all, and there aren't many people on TV in horse racing that haven't got some sort of background somewhere along the time. The ITV bosses frequently remind me when I get told off, which is not quite as much as it used to be, but still I'm on red alert constantly. They frequently remind me that you know, ITV don't employ journalists on TV shows. Almost every football show is an ex-player. Well, every football show is an ex-player as a pundit. You know, I would be one of the very few on any area of ITV that is a journalist talking about sport. Or at least that's what I like to think I am. So I'm in a very lucky position, and I don't feel any of it is work. I really have to say that honestly.
The derby has always got that sort of special feel to it.
Getting to a derby final is such an achievement for a trainer and an owner.
It's great. To me, I love it. It's the big thing of the year, and the big crowd is immense.
There is no better thrill than standing in the middle of the track and seeing your dog win.